It's a joint work also with Matteo Bazei and UN. And this project was financed by the Finance for Energy Market Research Initiative, Clémence, and also by the Institut Louis Bachelier. Okay, so I start. Does it work? Yes? Non, je l'ai allumé. Oui. Ah, mais yes, I always forget. It is not magic. You have to. No, mais there is Harry Potter there. So, but maybe you could come here. So it would be very much efficient. So, okay. Okay. So voilà. So we talked a lot about the fact that there was more and more renewable energy in the system, and we had great talks about the present situation of electric system with solar energy and wind energy. And distributed energy, and many things that goes on with it. But now I moved to University Paris-Dauphine in the economic department. So I left EDF, and so all electrical engineering stuff. Now I can't do anything about it. Yes, there are flux, there are constraints on the network. I can listen to those problems all days, but I cannot fix them. Patrick can fix them, but I can't. And so now I moved to an economic department, and I'm interested in the economic point of view of, yes, what can we say about this development? Okay, so in the economic literature, the renewable energy development has been addressed from different perspectives. A first perspective, so there is the climate change issue and the fact that people are struggling against the climate change, and that you need to have a decarbonation of power system because there is a lot of emission that comes from power systems. Okay, and then they realized that in fact renewable energy, they are also putting some externality in power systems. So you are fighting an externality which is carbon, and you're putting another system which is putting externality in the system, because since they are intermittent, you can see two things. They can see their first investment cost, the real cost, how much you have to pay to install solar panels and how much you have to pay to install wind energy. But you have to pay something extra because since they are intermittent, you have to add or to do some operation which will help the system to be stable and to ensure reliability and stuff. So you have an extra cost. And so there is a large part of economic literature on the extra cost induced by renewable energy. So there are papers by Josko and Borenstein on this. A second aspect is the following. I should not put my hands here. Is the fact that there are many subsidies because they receive there are many renewable energy because they receive subsidies. But at some point in time, the states they want to stop putting subsidy on the renewable energy. At some point in time, they should be self-sustained. At some point in time, the increasing returns and the price decrease should be such that the price of renewable energy should be cheap enough so that investors, without getting money from the government, they put themselves renewable energy. So there's a paper by Green and Leautier about this, and which is quite pessimistic about the fact that the economic viability of renewable energy is not ensured, because the more you put renewable energy, you have a downward pressure on prices because there are zero marginal costs energy. Okay, so maybe it won't happen. Okay, so there is another topic about metering, but I will skip this. In the model, you're going to see what I don't care about metering. Okay, the fact that you meter properly the flux. Okay, but there is an issue about that. And the last issue, which is the closest to the work we did with Yuan and Matteo, is about the technological choice. Okay, so you have this big problem about, okay, so you have the possibility to put a new technology which is higher, is more expensive, but which does not emit carbon, to replace or to substitute something which is dispatchable, but which is emit carbon. Okay, and so there's a large literature about that, and I will point to it if you are interested and if you want to do some macroeconomics. The two papers by Acemoglu and his comrades, amongst which there is Philippe Aguillon, who was cited yesterday by Pierre-Louis, and they work on the transition technology and how transition technology could be operated at a macroeconomic level with two kinds of instruments. The first instrument is carbon tax, and the second instrument is subsidy. And the result that they found is that, in fact, a carbon tax is not enough. You need to have some subsidy to push technological change and to increase innovation in this framework and to avoid a disaster. Okay. Okay. So these are stuff. So I was looking at that, and okay, it's very interesting. But Yuan he had found a new tool, which was a simple solution, analytical solution to linear quadratic Makin-Vlasov problem. And we worked together for a long time. He said, "Don't you have a problem that would fit in this framework?" And I say, so we discussed, and suddenly also I realized about this thing that there was one technology which is very particular among all the renewable energy. It is solar energy, which is solar panels. There are three kinds of solar energy. There is the solar energy which we don't talk about, which is concentration. Concentration, you put boiling somewhere, you put mirrors, and you reflect the solar up on the boilers, and it boils, and then it makes turn an alternator, and you're back to the former system. Okay, so you don't take that solar concentration. And the second one is field solar. So you put solar panels, you extract electricity through a cable, and you plug the cable to the network. Okay, and the third one, which is the one what you think about, is the solar panel you bought to be clean, because your wife asked you about that, and your kids also, because they fear that the white bears in North, they won't have a home anymore, and so they convince you to buy solar panels on your rooftops, okay? And so you buy that. And this last technology is very different from the other one, because this last technology is what former speaker talked about us. This one transformed the consumers into prosumers. So this one has an impact on the way people consume and has an impact on the relation between producers and consumers. The way normally producers like the electric system is that I produce, you consume, you pay me. Okay? That's the good thing. Now there is something that is changing. Now people can buy solar panel, making the following things. Maybe there are some preferences which is driven by social impact or something like that, or preference for decreasing environmental impact of your carbon footprint and stuff like this. But if you look at solar panels, carbon footprint is not that it's particular. Okay, you need also to produce carbon to produce solar panels. Okay, it's the way it is. But you can say that now I can make the following computation. If I buy solar panel, I will produce my own electricity, and I will reduce my electricity bill. Okay? But the power producers, they are not completely, they're not completely, they are smart also. So they are, they can anticipate the thing that now people can make those kind of computation, of economic computation, making that, okay, so if the price of electricity is too high, and I'm going to discuss what price of electricity I'm talking about. If the price of electricity is too high, people are going to buy solar panel to avoid paying high bills. Okay, so in fact, the thing that is very nice because there is a strategic interaction between two, and strategic interaction means games. Oh, formidable. So, so complex problem of stochastic control. Okay, okay. Okay, it's very, very nice, complex problem. And also, it's a particular strategic model. You can say, and I'm going to justify this. It is a relation which is not completely symmetric. When we try to, why is that? Because we are talking about, and the price I'm going to talk about is the retail price, the price that you pay on your bill. You are all consumers, and as Ronnie said this morning, we are consumers. We don't look on our app every day. What is the price of electricity on the market? We are not traders. Okay, we left our home like this. We have the counter, and we buy electricity, and we pay a fixed price. Okay, and so in fact, we pay a fixed price which has been decided. Alors, it depends on the country. Here, in the temple of free market of electricity, the price you pay can be changed every day. Okay, so you can switch here in the UK every day. You can switch from your electricity provider. Okay, they propose you one ticket to go to the last Harry Potter movie. Poof, and you switch your provider. It's like this, and the price you pay is is proposed by the producer or by the retailer. Okay? In France, there is something which is called, and in some countries in Europe, there is a regulated price for household. Okay? So it's fixed like this. But in time, okay, there is a price proposed by the producer. And in fact, the relation is the following. The producer proposes a price, okay? And once the price is proposed, then the consumers can make the optimization, say their arbitrage, their economic arbitrage between how much solar panel I should buy, or should I install, or should I auto-consume energy to reduce my electricity bill, okay? So it's a very special, it's a relation which is a B-level competition. It's a B-level relation between producers and consumers. It is what we call Stackelberg, okay? Then this is, so we have two things. We have game. We're going to see we have a stochastic control, and we just like the Makin-Vlasov term, okay? Okay, but you're going to see that the Makin-Vlasov appears. And so the results. So now you're going to see the results of the model that you don't know, okay? But but in economic, in economic presentation, it's like this. You present first the results because in fact there's going to be so many contradictions that you won't reach the end of your talk, and you won't be able to present all your models. So you have to first to present the results. It's a matter of life. Okay. So there are two kinds of results, and if you look in because the paper is in arXiv, but it's a former version. And the former version, if you compare, you're going to see slight differences. And the new version that we have, this one works fine. The former one, there was some non-intuitive result, but now everything is intuitive from the economic point of view. First, the first kind of result is sanity check. Sanity check results. Sanity check results. We're going to have three players, the consumer, the firm, and we are going to compare with the social optimum. And we find that the results and they fit economic intuition. The consumer will invest in distributed technology if and only if its investment cost is lower than the centralized electricity price plus transmission cost. You don't need Makin-Vlasov control type stochastic game to see that people will buy solar panel if it is less expensive than paying the electricity and paying the transmission. Okay, but this is what we find after. Okay, so sanity check. I skip the firm, which is simple, and the social planner is going to make an arbitrage between two technologies. The technology is going to be solar intermittent non-emissive technology and centralized emissive dispatchable technology. And in fact, it's just going to compare these two costs. The two costs will exclude the transmission cost for distributed technology, because each time you invest in one solar panel, you avoid building some transmission line. This is a substitute for transmission line, okay? And for centralized technology, you will look at the investment cost plus the carbon tax. If there's no carbon tax, you just look at the investment cost. Yes, Bruno.
But the solar could go in the other direction.
Yes. No. We're going to see that. We're going to see that point. Going to that point because it's a long-term project for which we did the first step. Okay. Okay.
It's not transmission cost. It's a tariff of the transmission.
Yes, it's the tariff.
It's not the real.
No. It's not the real cost.
Because the allocation of the cost is a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. We're going to talk that in the end, because this is a thing that we're going to talk about. It's the tariff.
Yes.
But going to see it's not transmission cost. This is simple. So this is sanity check. In the former model, it was not completely obvious. And further, so for this, the question is, what does it bring, for instance, to use complex machinery of Makin-Vlasov? Okay. So we have more results, and four results. First, which is not completely obvious, in fact, high adjustment cost of centralized technology is damageable for distributed energy development. We're going to see this. What does it mean? We're going to have two kinds of cost, and there's going to be a linear part and a quadratic part on the investment function, and what I call adjustment cost is the quadratic part. And in economic literature, in investment, in continuous time, this quadratic part is often called adjustment cost because it's a cost that you're going to pay either you want to increase or to decrease your installed capacity. It means it's a cost that you want to pay to be to follow a noise. So you have to add or to suppress something. And each time you're going to pay it. So it is something which is adjustment cost. Okay? And both technology, they will have adjustment cost. So the higher they are, the less interesting they are. And nevertheless, look at that. The higher the adjustment cost of centralized technology, the lower you put distributed technology. And this is a result that you know. You know that because you have read papers and you have heard things about that. The fact that power systems, if they are not flexible, then it is very difficult to introduce intermittent technology. If centralized system is very flexible, then you can put renewable energy, you won't endure adjustment cost. Huh? Okay, so, voyez. Huh? It was not obvious, but we recover that. Second, what is the optimal strategy of the firm? Alors, this is related to the first question I asked. Okay, so the producer is thinking, if I raise my price, I will earn a lot of money because the price is here, but then people will switch to solar panels, okay? Okay, and so there is certainly a way to decrease the prices to avoid people doing that. Okay, so there is a trade-off. And in fact, the optimal trade-off depends on the initial condition of the electric system. It's an interesting lesson. If we want to build a power system from scratch, we have nothing, just demand. And then we have to decide what is the optimal choice. And then the firm, the firm is a she. The consumer is a he and the social planner is a it. So the firm, what she will do, she will use a strategy which is high price and low market share. So the firm, if the investment cost of solar energy is lower, the firm will let all the market to solar energy. Why is that? Why is that? It's very simple. It's very simple because you want to maximize profit. And so if you want to maximize profit, the thing is not to put a lot of investment and to have a small price. The thing is to have a high price, but for a small amount of installed capacity, which will make cost to people very high price, because you know that the consumer will need necessarily this amount because the consumer has a random demand and you provide a dispatchable energy. Huh? But if you start as it is now, if you start with a system with all the installed capacity is centralized, then it is the other way around. If the system is completely installed and you have centralized energy everywhere, so then the firm is exposed to the cost of this investment. So it's the other way around. The firm does not want to disinvest because it's going to be costly. Okay, it's going to be costly, so she does not want this. So what does she do? She lowers the price. And she makes the renewable energy less interesting. You see, huh? Interesting results. Huh? Because you should compare this to the EDF strategy, which is that they are going to install 30 or 35 gigawatt of solar energy in the next 20 years. But it's not going to be solar energy on rooftop. It's going to be field energy, connected to either distribution network, but not on the rooftop of people and auto consumption. Okay, market equilibrium. And the thing I'm going to do this. Alors, the market equilibrium is bad because the market equilibrium is very, very different from the social optimum. Alors, it's not going to be it's not surprising because it's a Stackelberg game, and we know from oligopoly pricing that, in fact, the oligopoly optimum is very far from social planner. But here, in this situation, we can quantify this spread, and it is very, very important. And last result, the carbon tax and distributed technology is going to have the same efficiency in driving the market where you want. Okay, so now the model which brings these results. How much time do I have? I finish at 4, huh? C'est ça?
25 minutes.
Okay, it's okay. So the model. So the model, we are going to be very simple because I've heard that there are infinite number of players. I have 2, okay? I have 2 players. It's the minimum. I've heard it was the minimum to get a game. So I fit the condition of the conference. Okay, so I have two players. I have a representative consumer who can invest in solar panels to self-consume electricity, they can. And I have a representative firm who can invest in centralized emissive generation to satisfy consumers' residual demand. Okay? And voilà, who has decided the solar panel. And I will examine two situations. The social optimum, what is the trade-off between distributed and centralized generation that would satisfy consumers' demand at least cost, discounted and blah, blah, blah. And I will look at the market laissez-faire, and the market laissez-faire will be a Stackelberg game. And the leader will be the firm, and the follower will be the consumer. Okay? And to avoid the formulas of Yen, we have the optimal control of everything. But each optimal control takes half a page. So I will concentrate only on the long-term behavior. Okay? And you're going to see that then, the results are absolutely nice. Okay, so the model. So this is the objective function of the consumer. So it's a classical investment model in continuous time. So you have here the expectation, infinite horizon, discounting. Here is the linear part. Alpha is the investment rate in solar panels. Each solar panel is €6 per kilowatt or megawatt. And this is the adjustment cost. Each time you want to increase faster or to decrease faster, you will pay gamma. Okay, and this is, I will come back to this. And this is the energy produced when I put the rate alpha of T. And B is the load factor. You know that when you install a solar panel, you don't get when you install 1 megawatt of solar panel, you don't get 1 megawatt-hour of energy base load. You get less on average. So this is the coefficient, the load factor. I will comment on that. And also, I will suppose that the more you put solar panels, the more the variance increases. Because you say, but it's not logical because there should be a foisoning effect. You put solar panels and, no. Look at that. In fact, it is a representative consumer. So what is it, a representative consumer? It represents both the interest of each consumer and the situation. So if I am a consumer in Nice, it is the south of France, Nice, where there is a lot of sun, or in Italy, there's a lot of sun, or in Italy, okay, so I get a certain range, but I am still exposed at the fact that in this region, there should be, at some point in time, no sun. Okay? I cannot average a consumer from the south of France with a consumer from the north of France. Okay? Because then there's going to be a fashion. No. What I want to hold is that the more I put solar panel, the more I get exposed to the variance. Okay? Okay. Also, it's very important for the Makin-Vlasov. No, it's too easy. It is too easy if there is no this term. Okay, so it's important. But and second thing is that you have already noticed that if I don't invest anymore, I get a geometric Brownian motion, which is bad. It is bad because it means that I have reached a certain level of panels and still I see a variance, a conditional variance, which is increasing. It should be stationary. At some point in time, I put 2 solar panels. I should have. C'est pas grave. It is not grave. No, but it is not because in fact, to allow the value function to be finite, we have Julian told us what you need to have condition on the discounting factor with respect to, and in fact, the discounting factor is going to kill the variance in the long term, and it has no impact on the intuitive results. Okay, so I commented that. Okay, so this part and the Makin-Vlasov for the cherry on the cake. Okay, so this is the price that the consumer is going to pay to the firm. He's going to pay P. Okay, but he's also going to pay a tariff, theta, for transmission. Okay, this money is going to go to the producer, and this money is going to go somewhere to build the lines, okay, and to pay the salary of Patrick. Okay, which is important because we like him to be here. And he's going to pay this amount on his residual demand. Okay, D minus the energy I've produced. Okay, and now the Makin-Vlasov term. If there is not this term, then the fact that the energy is intermittent appears nowhere. Right? We need, and these things are things like we need to have something which is say that okay, you are putting a certain technology, but it has a cost. linked to the fact that there's a cost. You need to pay all the researchers working on load management and stuff like this. Okay, you need to pay them to have a nice system. Okay, so the eta represents the fact that there is an externality cost on the intermittency. It can be represented, for instance, that the consumer dislikes the fact that he's exposed more. The more he puts solar panels, the more he is exposed to the price of the producer. Okay? But it can be also represented, for instance, the cost of batteries. The higher the cost of batteries, the higher the exposition. Because then if you want to avoid the variance term, then you will need to put some installation in your place. Okay? Voilà. So I have commented everything. And so it is. Alors, last thing, P is going to be decided by the firm. So the firm is very, very smart because the firm is going to compute and to find and to look for a stochastic process P. Okay? But here, for the consumer, PT is a random coefficient. It's a random stochastic process. Okay? So I've commented everything. Questions?
This is for the consumer or the firm?
Consumer.
Alpha.
And this alpha is for the consumer. Now the firm. The firm, it is symmetric. For instance, the investment function has the two parts. The part of how much does it cost to install 1 megawatt of centralized capacity, how much does it cost to adjust this capacity to cope with fluctuation of random generation, of random, okay? P is going to be also here a random coefficient. We're going to see that. We're going to express the solution, not I, the two guys. Then going to express the solution with respect to P. So he's earning money on the residual demand. There is a carbon tax, P, pi, carbon tax applied to the generation of the producer, P of Q. Each time I produce Q, I pay P. Okay, I pay P. So yeah, it's important that we have P. You're going to see that if there is no pi, then the arbitrage of the social planner is like. And the commitment. So the producer has said to the retailer, to the firm has said to the consumer, so I'm going to propose you a price, but I guarantee you that I'm going to satisfy your demand, whatever it is at this price. So you can do, okay? And this is the commitment. It is the penalization. It is the satisfaction demand constraint. And things, because the toolbox is made like this, you need to fit in the linear quadratic Makin-Vlasov case, okay? So, okay, but it's normal. So you're going to see this, and you're going to have perfect intuitive result. And so he's going to find Q to be close to D minus X, okay? And if lambda is 0, you're going to see that it does not work because there's no commitment from the producer. So you need to have lambda very high. Okay, so it's okay. So, okay, voilà. And voilà. And the social planner, he adds up the two functions and he tries to solve. And look, for the social planner, there is still the transmission cost. The transmission tariff, it's still here because it is something which is paid by the consumer, but which does not go into the pocket of the producer. So it appears, and it is a Makin-Vlasov. There is the variance, okay? And there's a penalty. Okay, so this is the model. Okay, we give this to Yen and Matteo. They compute. They say it was easy. It was taught to engineer. I think I was the cobaye. And at the end, I could make the computation. I could make some computation. But okay, you need to be patient. Huh? Okay, you need to be patient. But Matteo is very patient. So I give you the result. What is the long-term behavior of the agent? Long-term behavior of the agent. So if I suppose that if there is a stationary price in the long run, so what does it mean? It means that the producer has made some computation. He says, okay, at some point in time, you're going to pay 50 euro per megawatt hour. Puff. Okay, in the long run. Then there is an optimal response in the long run for the installation of distributed solar panels. Okay, and so you look at the formula and you can understand it because even an economist beginner as I can understand. Oh, it makes sense. Why does it make sense? Because it is the comparison of what the consumer is going to pay in the long run, the transmission price, and the long-term price of electricity. Is going to compare that to Rho C sur B, and Rho C divided by B is exactly the annuity of an investment in one solar panel. This is the discounting factor. This is the price of one panel, and B is the load factor. If B was 1, you would get exactly. Okay. And this is exactly when you do investment, this is what you call the annuity. It is the discounting value of all the investment that you're going to make. Okay? So it's very simple. You agree? Hein? Voilà, je compare. I compare. 50 plus 10, I got this. If it is positive, I will do solar panel. If it is negative, I do nothing. Very simple. And the rate at which I do things depends on the volatility and a constant K, and the constant A given by this. And you do some comparative static, and all the comparative static results works perfectly. Hein? The consumer investment, they decrease with volatility, sigma, with intermittency, with the eta, and with adjustment cost, which is gamma. Hein? C'est ça? Which is gamma. So all the comparative static are good. And you notice that, in fact, this is an inverse demand function. If you practice the price P bar, I will do something which is P bar divided by something. Okay? So the more the price, the higher I'm going to do X bar. Okay? And the elasticity is 1 over 2 sigma carré square. There is one point I would shoot. If there is no penalty for intermittency, for the variance, what happens? This guy tends to 0. You put, and this guy tends to 0, and c'est ça, and this guy tends to infinity. So if it is interesting to install solar panels and there is no intermittency, I put only solar panels. I don't want to, okay? So it's sound economic results, okay? Huh? Okay. So in the numerical application, in the end, I will choose a situation where this guy is positive. If I choose a situation where this guy is negative, I see, bon, there is no solar panel, so there is no interest. Okay? Alors, for the firm, it's, alors, on the quantities, the problem of the firm is to decide when he has decided P bar, P, and if he observes, if he knows, okay, the guy is going to install X alpha infinity of solar panels, and my problem is to decide how many dirty coal-fired plants I'm going to install in Rhénanie, for instance. Huh? Okay, and the answer is very simple. I'm going to do exactly, I'm going to say why it is exactly, the residual demand, D minus X alpha. And this term is linked to the fact that the penalization is not perfect. Imagine that lambda is very, very, very big. This guy is 0. Okay? So in fact, what does the firm? It's very simple. It does, I invest just enough to satisfy the residual demand of the consumer. Okay? Hein? You don't need a PhD to do that. Okay? Bon, voilà, ça c'est vraiment facile ça. Okay, so the consumer is, ça le fait. The form is the social planner. Alors the social planner, things coming to social planner, there is an issue. There is an issue because the social planner corresponds to what is the interest of society. So the result that you find can be, this is the part where economists get more aggressive. Okay, okay. So what you find, it is sound. This is what I claimed. On the long run, if there is no if, the social planner he compares two technologies, and his arbitrage is very simple. I'm going to compare the annuity of investment on 1 megawatt of coal-fired plant, rho H, plus the carbon tax, and I will compare that to rho C divided by B minus theta, which is the cost, the net cost, and the investment in solar panels. If this quantity is negative, there is no way. He does not make any solar panel. If this quantity is positive, then he's going to make some solar panels. And there is, okay, so you solve that. It depends on the coefficient K11, which is solution of the Riccati blah, blah, blah. Okay, and this coefficient K11 does not tend to 0 when the parameter eta tends to 0. You agree with me? Okay, why? Alors, why? Because this problem has a sense in terms of economic arbitrage between two technologies, even if this guy is 0. Because I have to satisfy a demand with two technologies with different costs. They have different linear costs, different quadratic costs. One is penalized, so I have an arbitrage to make. And the arbitrage is going to be a proportion of one and proportion of the other. Okay? But the ratio will still be like this, will depend on that quantity. Okay? So this is a sanity check, everything works, and the social planner applies the same rule. is going to satisfy the demand. I forget to say the demand is constant. The only noise comes from the intermittency of renewable energy. Okay, poof. Okay, some properties. Alors, a nice property that we claim is the following, but now you're going to understand, is that the social investment in distributed energy decreases with volatility, intermittency cost, and both adjustment cost of technology. For gamma, it is not surprising, because for gamma, it is the adjustment cost of the renewable technology. Okay? So it's normal that if it is more costly, you do less. But it is more surprising that if delta, which is the adjustment cost of the centralized energy, if you increase this quantity, then you put less renewable energy. And why is that? It is because you need, because of this guy, because of this constraint, which is the satisfaction constraint, you need to follow something which is D, with two kinds of technologies. One which has a noise, and one which has no noise. Okay? And so, even, and you open eyes about this. So even if the cost of adjustment of Q is large, so to ensure this equality, it's going to be very costly. So each time it is more costly to adjust whatever the technology, but you don't want to have noise. OK? Voilà. Ça, c'est OK? Ça, c'est facile. It is easy. OK, so now we have things like this. OK, now, because we talked a lot about regulation of power systems, and we're going to put devices in houses and stuff like that. From a regulator point of view, what the regulator like is the light end. Not to put too many regulations, it's to find some prices. What should prices be so that I will reach a given situation, economic situation? So this is what we're going to look for. So we are going to look for equilibrium prices. The first situation is the Pareto. Is it possible, for instance, that instead of saying I want 10% of renewable energy or I want 25% of renewable energy, I say I have computed, thanks to my model, what is the optimal share of renewable energy, and then I will find a price P, and here we're going to find only, so we are going to explain that. We are going to find, normally we are looking for a stochastic process P star such that the optimal response of the consumer is exactly what the social planner would have done. Okay, but in our case, we're going to explain, we only look for the stationary situation. So we look for a stationary price such that the long-term value of the installed capacity for the consumer is exactly what we have done the social planner. Okay? Bon, okay, it works. Even you can do it. It is not Makin-Blasov là. Là, you just take this expression, first expression, x étoile, and then you take this expression, you equalize the two, it is linear, you inverse, crack. D'accord, là c'est... Even I can do it. I checked that the computation of Yen and Matteo was correct. Yes, they are correct. Okay, so it is, alors we find a nice result. It is a linear combination, it is a convex combination of two prices, rho C over minus theta and rho H plus P. So it's n because it's possible to prove, painfully but possible, that K11 is lower than K. K11 is always lower than K, whatever the value of the parameters. So this ratio is lower than 1, and so it's a convex function. So it's exactly a proportion, because what do this price, this one, corresponds to a situation where the consumer does no investment in solar energy. Okay? So it's important. Voilà, toc, toc, toc. So it's a nice result. And so there is a price which will implement the social planner choice. Okay, so there is some notation there. I'm going to need it after. Now, what about the market laissez-faire? I want to compare this situation to the market laissez-faire. From the standard theory of oligopoly pricing, I know normally I should find a Stackelberg price which is higher than this guy. Okay, the Stackelberg is pushing the consumer, is extracting some rent from the consumer, so it's making him pay more. Okay. So this is what we should do. Bon, alors, the problem is the following. We have, thanks to we have the optimal response x hat for every stochastic process P. Okay? So we have this, okay? All the not only the long-term value, we also have, you give me a stochastic process P, I have the optimal response and the transitory of the consumer's response. So normally, I should take this x hat of P, I put the x hat of P into the firm objective, I put this guy at this, là, and then I try to find the optimal P star, which is a stochastic process, which will maximize this. Okay? Bon, if you do that, là c'est dur. It's inextricable. Hein. Voilà, vraiment, c'est trop. So we decided to go one step. It's not possible. Vraiment, les expressions de là, ça mousse. Okay? So it's getting very untractable. So we need to find something which there are consequences because once we have decided that we want to decrease the complexity, and we cannot compare costs anymore. Because now what we're going to define is going to define only stationary Stackelberg problem. So we're going to look for a stationary price P bar, constant. If I give you P bar, if I fix P bar, I know the optimal response of the consumer, x hat of P bar. I plug that in my optimization problem, I find the optimal control, and then I will try to find the P bar which maximizes my profit, or minimize my cost, or maximize my profit. But once I have done this, I have no longer all the transition costs. So I cannot anymore compare what is the market laissez-faire cost to the social planner cost. Okay? It's a consequence. But we're going to see that nevertheless, the situation we obtain for the long-term values are going to be radically different. Okay? So we solve that. And after tedious but straightforward computation, we get also the Stackelberg price, which we denote with the diamond, and which depends on the initial condition of the system. It depends on the initial condition of the system. So this is why there is the dependence of Q. If I start from 0, if I start from Q equal capital D, then it is not the same. Okay? It is also a linear combination of two prices. One price is the price where the consumer does no solar panels, and one price corresponds to a marginal cost of the producer. And in fact, it's possible to show that this factor Xi is bigger than 2. This guy is strictly positive. Okay? So it's a linear combination. It is in between. Alors, the interesting point is to compare this price to the Stackelberg, to the Pareto price. It's just, if you compare the price, you know exactly what's going to be the response of the consumer because you have the function of response of the consumer is always the same. Okay? So we know that. Now, what do we have? Sorry, the picture. There is only one picture. Okay, so here's the picture. So if the commitment penalty is sufficiently large, if the lambda is sufficiently large, so if the commitment of the firm is strong, which is the normal situation, he has committed to satisfy consumers' residual demand, then the Stackelberg long-term stationary price is larger always than the Pareto price. Okay, and the situation is going to be like this. Here is going to be the Pareto price. Here is going to be the Stackelberg price. You recognize Rossi over B, the annuity of investment in solar panels, and so it's going to be like this. Okay, bon. Okay, bon, ça va. What next? What next? Alors là, oui, some properties. So first, I thought that because I was wondering, alors voilà. You should explain it this way. Okay. So in this model, what is the story of this model? The story of this model is saying, okay, I have an arbitrage. There is a market laissez-faire between two guys. I can compute the social optimum between two technologies, which are solar panels and centralized energy. I need because you're nice, you didn't tell me about the fact that the unitary panel of solar panels did move completely during the 10 last years. It went from more than $500 or $600 per kilowatt hour to something to 2 cents. Voilà, truc et tout. So it decreased a lot. And I consider that it is constant. But you're going to see why do that. Okay, I suppose that there is from a social optimum, there is an externality on the centralized system. So I want to decrease this externality. I want to do something to decrease carbon emission, and so I want to install solar panels. Maybe the C is too high. The C is too high. The cost is too high. So I have two levels to transform my electric system. So I decrease C. So I give subsidies to solar panels to decrease C, and so that to make it interesting, and so people are going to install solar panels. Second point, no, I will increase the externality of centralized energy, which is emissive. I will increase the carbon tax. So there is two ways. And the question is, which tools is the good one? Because the regulated price of electricity, the P star, is going to disappear. In the UK, there is no P star. Okay? In many countries, there are no P star. And the European Commission, they don't like it. They prefer free market solution. So no P star. So but they allow subsidies to renewable energy, and they allow things, they allow carbon tax. Okay, maybe. Okay, voilà. So what is the most efficient? In this particular situation, which is not the global situation of renewable energies, in this particular market, which is the interaction between what is auto-consumption, self-consumption, and centralized energy. In this particular situation, in fact, if you look at the efficiency of increasing rho h, increasing pi, or decreasing C, and let the market do, you will obtain the same result. Alors, it depends on the coefficient. You just have, well, why is that? Because I see your faces, and you're thinking, why is that? But you want to understand. This is, okay, why? Because in fact, what you need to know is, if I increase, in fact, what is it to subsidize renewable energy is to put a subsidize on PD, and so to decrease this, to increase PD. I think PD. What is PD? PD. Well, it is P0 rho C sur B. Yes, it is this. Okay, it is this guy. Okay, voilà, c'est ça. You see that there is the same coefficient 1 over xi between the two. So increasing this guy or decreasing this guy, you always face 1 over xi. Okay? Okay, and so you have to look at this. What is the effect? Pi is there. Okay, so I want to increase pi. If I increase pi, Pf of q is going. This guy is going to be multiplied by this guy. Okay, vous êtes d'accord? Okay, so I have to check what is the sign of this guy compared to 1. If it is lower than 1, it means when I increase pi, I don't have a 1-to-1 relation. I increase pi by 1 euro, and the price of the market is going to move by 0.10. Okay? It's going to be lower. Okay? And it is lower. Strictly speaking, this guy is lower than 1. So strictly speaking, it is less efficient. But if you put numbers in this guy, reasonable number, it is 1. Yes, il me reste 1 minute. And it is enough. Okay? Puff, puff. Puff, puff. Okay. Numerical illustration. A numerical illustration of what they say about the strategy of the firm, low price, high market share, or high price, low market share. So here, you have two kinds of situation. The initial state of the system. Initial state of the system is from scratch. Initial state of this system is present state, where all the demand is satisfied by centralized energy. Okay? And you have two kinds of situation, no carbon tax, or carbon tax, and very non-flexible system and very flexible system. Okay? So, yeah. So where are we? Normally, we are in a situation. If I look at the price of carbon in Europe, the price is 5 euro per ton or 7 euro per ton, so it's very, very low. And we have a centralized system with many. So we are, and we can discuss about the flexibility of the system. But I guess we are somewhere here. And so you look, what would do the social planner? Nothing. Here you have the price, no equilibrium, and the quantity you would install. Nothing. You would know nothing. Why is that? You don't. Why is that? But because I've checked numbers so that the annuity minus plus, it is interesting from a costly point of view to put this guy is positive. What is important? Voilà. This quantity is positive. So the consumer wants to put some trick, and depends on the values. He wants, but how much? How much? And the quantity is 0. Okay, quantity is 0. 0. And look at the price. What would do the firm? So the initial condition is 50 gigawatt. 50 gigawatt. The price, he let 1.6 gigawatt enter into the market here, and he lets 8 gigawatt enter in the market here. Okay? Very low. In the same situation where we start from initial condition 0, it is the opposite. It is the opposite. The firm would let 47 gigawatt of renewable energy. So he would keep only 3 megawatts for him. But look at the price, 272 compared to the optimal, which is 80. Okay, so it's going to make the consumer pay a lot for a small amount of capacity. Okay, and it is what is. And you need to have lot. Also, it's important because it's important. I believe that there should be some carbon tax, which is high and blah blah blah, to send the right signals. And look here in the situation, if there is a large carbon tax and if the central system is flexible, then there is a hope that you're going to let renewable energy and installed by the market laissez-faire. Okay, so no, I would conclude. No. Regarde, conclusion perspective. This you already know. This is already what I said, so I don't say it again. But perspective. So I have two, yes, because we are going to start normally a PhD on this project because there is only 2 players, and there are so many things that we neglected in this model. So many things. In particular, the competition between firms. The competition between consumers with solar panels and consumers without solar panels. And also the fact that the tariff here, theta, is exogenous. We just fixed theta, while in a model of equilibrium, theta should be endogenous. It should be defined such that the investment costs are recovered, and not much. So if everybody is rational and anticipative with perfect rationality, there should be a third player. Okay? So this is work for the future, and we hope to develop this project. Thank you for your attention.